Hey, what's up, card fighters? Archangel 7 back, and this time I am doing a deck profile on Dragonic Kaiser Crimson. And I know I'm a little bit late in the game. I mean, the set's been out for probably like 2 weeks or something, but I didn't want to just copy and paste a deck that I've seen online or just throw you one of them 50-50 decks. I really wanted to take a little bit of time to kind of figure out the ins and outs of Crimson and just kind of see what is the best way to play it, in my opinion. So I did quite a bit of work with this. I played it at a tournament last night. I went 3-1, so I didn't get kicked out. I didn't get eliminated from the tournament, but I didn't top, the point system work or whatever. But I went 3-1 with it. The one loss being to an Aqua Force. Yeah, go figure. It wasn't because, well, he won because of Lambros, but he won because of a heal trigger. I mean, but that's the game. No salt here, you know what I'm saying? That's all part of the game. But that was the only loss I had. I played against a Great Nature, a Dope DX, and what's the other one? Dope DX, something else, I don't know. Great Nature, Dope, Aqua, and yeah, some other deck, I can't even remember what, but yeah, it did pretty good. So without further ado, this is the deck profile. So actually, I'll start with the starter. Starter is going to be Brawler fighting Draco Kid. He combos really well with Crimson and Vermillion. That's why I run him. His skill is you counterblast one. During your turn, when your opponent's rear guard is put into the drop zone, well, actually, you put him in the soul too. You put him in the soul. That's all you got to do. And then when your opponent's rear guard is in the front row is put into the drop zone, if your Vanguard's in Legion, you could pay the cost. If you do, choose units pretty much in the same row and retire those two. So if your opponent has full columns and Crimson attacks the front row, obviously, when those units die, you can counterblast 2 and get both the ones there. So he can retire 4 along with Crimson. So it's a pretty good combo. Even if you don't hit it like that, it's a good just column killer with Crimson. Even if they just have their Vanguard and one other unit, well, 2 other units like that, you can still pop off that whole column there. So he's pretty sweet. You can run the grade 3 searcher. He works good with it too. But next is for Kaiser Crimsons. And pretty much his skill, he's, well, for one, the best part about him, he's 22k attack. So he's mad strong. I mean, his base attack power is a magic number itself. So yeah, it's limit break 4, and he takes Vermillion, his Legion mate. He takes his skill and makes it free. And his skill is you counterblast 3, get +2, and battle every unit in the front row with 1 attack. So yeah, his skill is Vermillion's skill is mad expensive. I mean, 3 just to pop the front row. But like I said, he makes it free. When you're limit break 4, limit break 4, and he also has another skill where you can soul blast 1, he gets +2. That's another awesome thing about him that makes him good. But now, just to kind of touch on Crimson a little bit, he is not a very powerful Vanguard. He doesn't really give you. He's not a real threat to your opponent losing the game. And what I mean by that, he's not like a Saint Blow, getting a crit and mad numbers on top of that. He's just popping the front row. So, and that's kind of the thing with Narukamis. They just don't have anything that's really threatening to the whole, I would say, game state, that the whole state of the game that you're playing. Like, yeah, it can hurt the opponent. It could be a factor that causes you to win or causes them to lose, but it's not really a big, it's not really that good. So Crimson is not the main ride in the deck. I already touched on Vermillion. I'm just gonna throw him down there. I run 2 Vermillion, by the way. So Crimson's not the main thing of the deck. I found if you dedicate a deck to him, or if you you know, build a deck around him, or you really just focus on trying to blast the front row, it's terrible. It's not good. It's just not good. You will probably lose if you play the deck like that. Now that's the exception, not the rule. But the majority of the time that I've played this deck, it will not win if this is your focus. If Legion is your focus, this deck probably won't win. And if it, I mean, it can. Like I said, it's the exception, not the rule. But the main focus early on is going to be Vanquisher, which I run 2 of. You don't need more. I mean, you can search him out with the Stride Fodder, so you don't need more of him. But he's a stride break, so you counterblast 1 when you stride, and you can choose one of your opponent's rear guard, front, back row, it doesn't matter, and retire and bind that card face up. So he's absolutely amazing. This is what you want early on. Pretty much, you know, with any Narukami built, for the most part, they are they're a counteractive deck. You know, they get their momentum is pretty much just popping the rear guards. I mean, and it's more or less fun than good, because it's just really control. That's pretty much what they are in a nutshell. It's just control. You know, control the state of the field to where you only have your opponent's Vanguard attacking, they're pushing out more cards from their hand, trying to rebuild their field. That's what Narukami's about. And him early on, you know, striding is a lot more beneficial than him early on attacking the front row. This is going to get rid of pesky starters, anything in the back row that you might not like, or even just front row. You know, someone got their Legion made up on the front row or anywhere on the field. Get him out of there permanently. Send him to oblivion. So that's the main card you want to ride. He also has a GB2 skill where if your opponent's rear guard's put in the draw zone, he gets 3k and a crit. Which, I mean, yeah, we don't really want to do that. But that's main ride. Stride is your focus in here, and you know the reason you come up with that is because Stride's stronger than him. You know, that's what you want to look at. How strong is Crimson? And the truth of it, he's not that strong. You know, a card, especially like just all game, he's just not that strong all game. A little bit later in the game, he is stronger, but you know, he's not the strong. Stride's stronger. Him being straightened over is a lot stronger. So that's your main focus there. So because I don't build the deck around Crimson, I don't run Dusty Plasma Dragons or Limit Break Enablers or none of that garbage. I do, however, run 4 Cello. Now, Cello is really good in this deck, and the reason being is because of early game control, early game retire. If they have anything on the front row, I mean, it doesn't matter. You play a Cello, you suck up a Eradicator, and yeah, you pop whatever's in the front row that's troubling you. So yeah, he's really good for just early retire. He doesn't go into, you know, any of your resources as far as counterblast, so he works well with him because, you know, he doesn't cost a counterblast. He just soul charges an Eradicator unit. So for Cello, he's worked out very good. Like I said, early game, just amazing. Next is 4 Voltage Horn Dragons. GB1 counterblast on when he's boosted and attacks the Vanguard. Your opponent chooses one of his or her rear guards, binds it face up. More control, obviously, and yeah, I mean, he's really good. He's really good because he can pop a front row, he can pop a front row rear or the back row, and he forces your opponent to choose. So if your opponent only has 2, he can take out the front one, and then he can take out the back one because they have no choice but to choose it. So yeah, really awesome there. Another good thing about Cello here is, I mean, his potential is he's a front row destroyer. And what I mean by that is you play him, you take out one and you can attack the other one, because usually the front row is going to be made of like grade 2 9Ks, so he can attack the other one. So he can potentially himself clear out a front row, or at least cause your opponent to guard the one that he's attacking. So that's another way you got to look at Cho. He's really good, and just what I'm saying, you can clear out the front row. What more can you ask for a single unit? Then next is 3 Chaturs or Chataras, however you want to pronounce them. But he's a really okay card. Yes, I'm gonna say okay. A lot of people are like, oh, he's great. He's good. A lot of times your opponent doesn't want you plussing, so they do guard it, which is a 5K gone. But in those instances where you just don't have the Eradicator resource for him, you're not GB1 for him, you can't Stride, you can't Legion, it's like, man, I really want to get rid of those rear guards, which he can't do. He can't attack rear guards. So in those instances, it's kind of like, I wish I could have taken out the rear guards, but on a different note, I mean, he's 11K attacker. He can only attack the Vanguard, but when he hits the Vanguard, he can counterblast one, draw a card, choose a card of your opponent's drop zone, and bind it. So anyone using Legion fears him, and just anyone in general kind of doesn't want you to get that extra draw. But he's really good. I wouldn't run 4 of them, because you want the ability, you want to have the option to be able to attack rear guards as well, because sometimes you just don't have the resource to do any of your retiring shenanigans. So being able to attack the rear guards important as well. So just 3 of him. Next is 4, on to great ones. 4 of the unflipped perfect guards. Yeah, they unflip damage. What more can you ask? You don't need to protect your rear guards at all. They're not like that important to where, say you're going against Doth X like I did last night. You don't really need to protect them. It's like, yeah, go ahead, let them die. Go ahead and get your plus, and I'll perfect guard the Vanguard. It's just really not that big a deal in this deck. So running 4 of those is good. Besides, the deck uses quite a bit of counterblast, so unflipping them is awesome. Next, I run 4 Bonfire Educator caster. The reason I run this card is because this build here, I play it more defensively and more control based. So for one, I don't really want to say if I have to be Crimson and I'm not set up for Legion, this is a good way to set up for Legion for one. I mean, that's kind of like the small issue, but it helps to get your cards that you need for your defense. For example, you are holding on to, let's say, a Vermillion, just a Vermillion, and it's like, I don't need Vermillion right now. I need to get rid of something on the field, so I want a Cho. So playing this and ditching and drawing can help you pull into something that you're looking for. It can help you pull into more guard, which you definitely need for this deck, because it kind of plays into the late game most of the time. But yeah, it's just a good card. I mean, drop and draw. Sometimes you're like, okay, I'm done striding. So now the stride fodder card, the great one, he's now useless because you're done striding, and you can play that and drop and draw. But your opponent has to have 2 or less rear guards, which isn't hard. So yeah, 4 of that, really good card, and I don't mind riding this. Don't really want to ride anything else. But next is 4 of the stride fodders. This is why we run 2 vanquishers. This guy can search him out if you need to do that. And he pays for 3, so he pays for stride himself. So stride's the most important thing in the deck. So you want to be striding quite a bit early on, maybe twice, 2 or 3 times early on. But yeah, that's all he's good for. And then occasional boost, or like I said, the drop and draw. And then next is 2 Tonfa Brawler arcs. When your Vanguard's in Legion and a rearguard's put in the drop zone, he gets +3. So another card that combos well with Crimson. You pop the front row. He's gonna get 6 if they don't guard the rear. He's gonna get 6 if they don't guard the rear guards. If you have him on the field too and you use this skill, he's gonna get 12. You know, so him behind Chitura is awesome. Pretty much him behind anyone is awesome, but especially Chitura, because then, you know, most likely he's gonna hit. You're gonna get that plus there. And then one last card is one Rising Phoenix. I run just for more draw, because I don't run draw triggers. I'll show you my trigger lineup. I don't run draw triggers, so having the ability to draw and fix my hand is key. That's why I run him, the caster, Chitura. All these cards, you know, help towards my drawing power, because I don't run draws. So they're all, yeah, like I said, they're all draw power. Yes, you have to ditch one draw one with caster, but it's hand fixing. So that's that. Now onto triggers. I run 7 crit and 5 stands, and then obviously 4 heals. These everything but the stands are eradicators, and that's for Cello. You know, so he can go ahead and soul charge one of the triggers there and get his skill off, or he can soul charge caster and let his skill go off. I'd rather not soul charge caster because it's a 7k boost, but if you really need to get rid of something, you can do that too. So the reason I run it like this, for one, this is more control, more retiring abilities. I mean, if you're when a front row is put in the drop zone, you retire him, and you can get one in the same column, so you clear a column. So this is more control, and this is more draw power, and it unflips your triggers. It unflips your damage. I mean. And when opponent's rear guard's put in the drop zone, you put this on top of the deck, shuffle your deck, draw a card, and then turn the damage face up. So this technically is my draw trigger, and but you get the added bonus of having 10k shield versus 5. That's the reason I run this over draws, because it's technically a draw trigger, it's recyclable, and it's 10k shield on top of that. So, and it's a stand trigger. It's more pressure than a draw any day, you know. So that's the reason I run this stance, is to have the draw power, the guard power, and the control power with the retire. But also because, like I say, Narukamis don't really have anything that's inherently threatening to your opponent. So really, to create threats is pretty much just restanding, you know. Restanding Chitura is good because that's going to give you more draw power. If you pull a stand trigger on Chitura, you know, after they thought the worst was done, you know, and you're able to restand them, give him the power, you know, or whatever, he can come back in, try to get more, try to get another card out your opponent's hand, or if he hits, best case scenario, you can draw a card. So this deck really wants to draw, it really wants to be defensive versus the so-called aggro that Narukami has, which I technically don't believe in, just because, like I said, they're not threatening. There's nothing scary about an Eradicator, or most Narukamis at that. You know, they mostly have to rely on they have to rely on triggers. To be honest, Narukami is a deck that is so not threatening. They're the ones who's saying, like, okay, let me get this crit. Yes, I got the crit. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how they are. They don't give crits to themselves for the most part, unless you're running Shotgun Blow, you know, Gauntlet Buster or something like that. But they're just not that threatening. So, you know, having these stands is kind of what adds a threat, adds pressure to the deck. You know, this is what could possibly add aggression to your Narukami builds. And then on top of that, you gotta look at it like, if you drive check a crit, your Vanguard gets perfect guard, so you give it to the rear, opponent's most likely not gonna let that rear guard hit with a crit. But if you restand a rear guard and you attack again, they're like, it doesn't have a crit, you know what, I'll take that. So I always look at stand triggers kind of like free damage. You know, people just kind of don't care about taking it. So but that is the deck, guys. Like I said, I mean, this is the best way for me to run it. Now if you have your own playstyle, I mean, you can build it however you want to, but like I said, I don't feel like Narukami's threatening. So I feel like having them defensive and controlling, more like on the lines of Kagero, is the best way to play them. And then Crimson sweeps in at the end. Whoops. He sweeps in at the end to finish them off. And especially with his Soul Blast skill. You know, you can Soul Charge a lot with Cello and just re-riding and stuff like that. So a lot of times my first Legion attack with him, I'll just go ahead and clear the soul out and hit for like 34. You know, he can give himself plus 10, just taking 5 out of the soul. So, you know, he's a good ender. Like late game when you ride into him and you clearing out front rows, that's what's painful. That's what's gonna hurt someone. But doing this early on or trying to focus on this, you got limit break enablers to do it and stuff like that. That's not gonna win the game. Like, it really won't, and it makes the deck run very crappy too. So yeah, that's the deck. Oh shoot, Stride. Yeah, Stride. I do not have my Strides with me right now. I don't know, I'm not sure where they're at. It's just, I run 4 Zoros and 4 Conquest. So if you don't know what they are, I mean, I guess you just have to look them up. Sorry, I don't have them on me right now. But they're both really good. Zoros is a lot of pressure. He kind of forces perfect guards out. People just don't want that hitting. And Conquest Dragon is your powerhouse. He's kind of what can have you win the game, especially with these stand triggers too. So if you don't know what they do, look them up. Hopefully you do. I mean, the set's been out long enough that if you're in the Vanguard, you should know what they do. If not, look them up and then you'll know what I'm talking about. But that is the deck profile. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about that. Like, subscribe. I mean, I have quite a bit of videos up now with different deck profiles and a couple tutorials as well. So go ahead and check those out. And yeah, as usual, stay improving, stay leveling up your game. This is Archangel 7.